I wanted to show you how I sew the top of the mask to the specially designated fabric, which is different from all the others, so people can tell how to put the mask on. And here I've selected a green stripe that sort of goes diagonally, but I do it pretty much the same way as I do for the chin side. That is, I do try very hard not to stretch the mask at all. I remove the pins just up until the point where I don't need them anymore. And then instead of trying to get everything set and raw edges even right from the start, I do it as I go along. And I very gently, every maybe quarter of an inch, I'll stop, lift the presser foot, and readjust it so that I get everything lined up without stretching anything. I've been doing something a little weird that involves an old buttonhole foot. I have an older machine, a Bernina. It's a number 3 foot, and I find that it has 2 grooves on the bottom. The one groove on the right-hand side is really handy to sew over the copper wire that I'm inserting on the top side, that optional nose piece. So I have adjusted my machine with the needle position all the way to the right and a zigzag about 3 and a stitch length about 2.5. And you'll need to monkey around with that to see where you like it. But I try and put the wire exactly in the middle of the seam allowance. And the zigzagging keeps it right there. It doesn't shift after I've put it in. It's a little tricky and it's a little slow going at first, but I find I really like the way the wire sits. It does not shift at all. And I use a slightly longer piece of wire instead of what's called for in the pattern. I extend it to about 8 inches. Then I make the little curves on both sides. And I find I don't have to end the channel there with the back stitching on either side of the wire. I just let that go. If it slides, and it really is not going to slide more than 1/2 inch or so, so I'm pretty happy. At this point, before I start turning the fabric, I will make sure that it's in the middle and between left and right sides. And then I will simply take the binding, bring it to the raw edges on the inside of the mask, fold over one more time, and then top stitch as I did with the chin side. Having the wire in there may just be a quirk that I like to do. You might hate it. And if you don't have the same number 3 foot that I have and the same machine I have, it might be a pretty useless tip. But you might have a foot that would work, and if you want to take a chance and experiment with it, I like the results, but totally up to you. My hands do get in the way a lot here, I'm sorry. But hoping that you can see how I'm yanking that little piece of binding fabric quite a bit to get it out from under, and I want to make sure I can get it nestled in there as tightly as I can and not hit the wire, of course, as I top stitch. I haven't broken a needle yet, haven't hit the wire yet either, because you can feel where it is, and as long as you're sewing on the edge of that fold, you should be all right.